Hey guys. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Hope everybody's having a great Tuesday afternoon. Hey G Dub, thanks for dropping in. Okay, sis, thanks. Hope everybody's day is going well. So today we're gonna talk about something, you know, that it's, kind of sad that people do. Some content creators, they use these tactics to gain engagement and sympathy, so people, can feel a certain way about them and not look at them the way everybody else sees them. Hey Lily, welcome in, thanks for being here. But yeah, it's, my goal is to open viewers' eyes to show how some people manipulate medical experiences for sympathy, and how that affects people that really have been through, different illnesses, because I know of one in particular that uses what they went through. They actually exaggerate what they went through, and they really didn't go through a real battle like, most people do go through when they say they went through an illness. And to me, it's just really sad. And it's like, when are things going to stop, you know? Lily says, big time, shaking my head. It's like they are proud of having them issues when in real life, behind the scenes, they suffer, yet wanna get people to feel bad for them. Yeah. And what's worse is people that exaggerate, what they went through just to gain that sympathy, you know? So yeah, so today we're gonna dive into that, you know, into the fine line between sharing your actual truth, what you've been, what you went through or what you've been going through, and exploiting a medical situation for sympathy or engagement. This isn't about judging people who've gone through real actual medical struggle. It's about those who stretch the truth, dramatize or monetize sympathy in a way that's manipulative, you know? So we live in a time where pain gets views, where drama gets views, where, you know, tragedies gets views. But people post about hospital visits, vague pray for me captions, and then days later, merch drops or brand deals, or they just forget about what they posted altogether, you know? But have you ever followed someone online who exaggerated their illness for attention? I know I haven't followed anybody, but I've definitely know about, you know, people that have, that say they went through something, and they're content creator, they're in the spotlight, so we actually saw what they went through, and it definitely isn't what they say it is. You followed a few, but you unsubbed real quick. Yeah. They, and then they say that if you unsub them, if they start getting people to unfollow them, unsub them right away, it's like haters. Like haters are spreading false rumors about them, and that's why they're getting low engagement or whatever like that. But it can't be because people see through their bull crap. Hey Lacandice, hey Jazzy, happy, what is it? What's today? Happy Tuesday. Yesterday was no school, so I'm off. Please double tap that screen, guys. Double tap that screen. Hit the like button, whichever one's easier for you. Thanks for being here. But yeah, have you ever known anybody, whether it's on social media or in real life, that say they had a illness and went through something very tragic, but you saw what they went through with your own eyes, so you know that situation and what they say isn't what it is? To me, it's disgusting for the real people that have struggled, that have been through, say if it's cancer, radiation, chemotherapy, losing their hair, losing weight, you know? To me, it's just disgusting to use an illness just to gain engagement and supporters, to gain the support that they saw themselves losing, honestly, just for being them, you know? But, yeah. What, if you did, because I know Lily did, what made you realize something didn't feel right about their story? Did you, was it what they said? Was it what you saw? Or was it both? I definitely seen one in my, this is what really prompted me to talk about this. I saw somebody that said he has cancer. Um you know, we definitely know he had the gene of having cancer, you know, but we saw that he did not struggle. He did not overcome cancer. He did not need radiation. He did not need chemotherapy. He was already bald, so he didn't lose hair, you know? He lost weight because they took out his stomach, not because he had to battle cancer. Not because he had to battle cancer, but because not only did he start not eating the same before the surgery, so it caused him to lose a lot of weight, but also then they removed his stomach. So it's like getting a gastric bypass. Of course you're gonna lose weight. And because, he's skinny and stuff, people do think that he actually battled cancer. But he's a content creator. And the kind of content creator that has us seeing everything of his life. Like if he really was battling, he would have shown his audience every single thing that he went through. That's just the kind of person that he is known to be. So to me, using, cancer as a way of engagement and gaining sympathy, is disgusting to me. And I've seen many people that come, into the comments, even on other platforms, saying how disgusting they find that they've been through cancer themselves, and how they really don't like him because of that. Lily said, well, the one that she seen, she was following another person who did actually go through cancer treatment, and she would just copy everything the other girl would say about the treatment, yet never seen it. Yep. It's sad that he uses that for clout or sympathy. Facts. Another one was actually someone was actually someone in person who also did content creation but did it for the wrong reasons. He just wanted money and tried to say he was homeless, but I knew him in real life. Wow, that's, you see? So this does happen, you know? People do things like that just to gain sympathy. He was definitely not homeless and was never in a DV relationship with his supposed wife. He was just a bum trying to make people feel bad for him. Wow, yeah, that's definitely sick. You know, you gotta be a sick individual. And anyone who does that is also sick, yep. He would act like he slept in a tent, yet the tent was in his backyard. Wow, yeah, boy, bye. What the hell? Psst, crazy. Yeah, so let's talk about the differences, about sharing awareness and sharing for attention. Real illness versus preventative measures. You know, there's a huge difference between fighting a illness and taking steps to prevent it. For example, someone might have a gene that puts them at risk for, say, stomach cancer, and they choose to remove their stomach, which is a serious procedure, absolutely. But that's the same as going through chemo. That's not the same, I'm sorry. That's not the same as going through chemo, radiation, or years of treatments. You know? The issue is when people who didn't go through full blown, say, cancer act as if they did, for sympathy, for views, for validation, you know? And it's just sad. And, when people do that, I definitely understand why so many people stop following them, stop watching their stuff, so, stop commenting, and their views definitely go low. So, respect for anyone who takes preventative action, of course, but that doesn't give you the right to use it to emotionally manipulate others. Real cancer patients often can't even speak publicly because they're too weak or too sick, while some people who had preventative surgeries create dramatic storylines. Um, wow, you had cancer and I'm not on here asking for sympathy or telling people lies. Wow, Lily, I didn't know that. Wow. Well, we'll have to talk about that, you know? We'll definitely have to talk about that. Not for sympathy, but just for awareness. I'm sorry you had to go through it, but I'm glad you said had, you know? And it isn't easy when people actually have something and go through something, go through the struggle, go through the treatments. Chemo and radiation is not a damn joke, you know? So, yeah, real cancer patients often, like I said, can't speak publicly. They don't even want to speak publicly because how they see themselves. Of course, us as family or friends, we don't judge them, of course, and we don't see them different. We just see somebody that's going through something and we want to be there for them, uplift them, you know? But there's bravery and then there's performance, and people that perform for the engagement, for that money, they have something that's coming for them. you know do you think people sometimes confuse preventative surgery with having cancer? Is it wrong to share your preventative experience online, or only wrong when it's exaggerated? I definitely don't think that it's wrong if you want to share your preventative experience, but of course keep it real. Don't all of a sudden from the beginnings talk about how much it was about preventing and spreading awareness, and then all of a sudden it's how you speak and what you talk about is like you had full blown, whatever, and that you actually, were struggling, and although you were bored before the illness, all of a sudden using little segments and skits or just comments, posts saying that you're bald because of what you went through when you were bald, or you lost your hair prior to that. And even if you lost your hair because of alopecia, be real about that. You know, don't act like it was because of that you were preventing the disease. Yeah, don't add to it. Don't exaggerate. That's just stupid. I'm sorry, but it is. It really is. Hey, Glenn, how are you? Getting ready for work or on your way to work? Yeah, I'm talking about people exaggerating illnesses. Our lovely Glenn is a proud survivor of breast cancer. So this is, all year is her moments, her time. But this month definitely is, you know, her month. And we're glad to be able to have her here with us, you know. She's definitely a survivor. So it's definitely not cool, just to use a certain disease to gain, you know, engagement, gain followers, gain sympathy, and also gain that bag. Because at the end of the day, with many followers, with many reactions, comments, what they're really doing is getting to their bag over a lie. You know, like I said, if it was preventative, fine, but be honest about it. You know, talk more about that, about the genes and in your family going from generation to generation, that, and speak on that. That will get engagement too, because people would want to be aware, and actually more people would get tested if they know certain genes run in their family. But don't use that for sympathy and make up, exaggerate what you went through. That is not cool at all. Exactly. You know, speak those facts, because you never know who can help, who can help out there, who they can help from knowing these things. If they heard of a family member having a certain gene and multiple people in their family, dying because of that said disease, spread awareness. Do what really matters. You will get way more far, you know? But, sympathy says, oh, poor you. Where empathy says, I understand your pain. And the people that try to use that to get sympathy is just real sad to me, you know? Um, but yeah, but when creators chase that sympathy, it's usually for attention. When they share for empathy, it's usually to educate or help, you know? And those that use it for sympathy, is sad individuals. And I don't know how people that actually have been through a real illness, had to go through the treatments, years of being not healthy, or even having family members losing their lives to this disease. I don't know how they still are able to, you know, support that those people that do that. I just don't get it. God will bless those who help others, not those who chase or beg for empathy. Facts. You know? The problem is the internet rewards that sympathy. It gets clicks, it gets tears, it gets comments like, oh, you're so strong, you know? Like, oh, yeah, you're doing your thing. Yeah, like, I'm still here for you, you know? But if they were actually their supporters, they would see that they didn't really go through what they went through. They really don't know what it is to, get weak because of a disease, like lose their hair because of a disease, lose weight, feel sick after treatment, before treatment, during treatment, you know? So, those of you that have seen people do that, what's the most common sympathy post you've seen online? Have you have you seen any sympathy posts online? Do you think that the supporters feed into this by rewarding it? Or do you think that especially those that know the person didn't really go through what they're saying, but just there in the comments, like acting like, they have wool over their eyes, like giving them that praise, like they really did go through something, knowing that they really didn't? The sympathy post I've seen is like, oh, I'm wearing this, you know, I'm wearing this, say, wig because of, what I went through. I deserve it. After I went through cancer, or I deserve to live the way I want to live because I went through cancer. Disrespectful. you know Sympathy baiting works because people want to feel good for supporting others. Empathy doesn't always go viral, but it builds trust. But you know they want you to feel sympathy for them, so you can continue to engage, so you can continue to spread, share whatever they're posting. Tell people to follow them. Send those stars, you know? But the real test, if you couldn't post it online, would you still be sharing it? A lot of these people, they're full of it. Why? Because, especially if, like I said, if they're filming or recording every single second of the day, usually, but they don't film what they say they go through. Like, we know the person would film being on that chair, getting whatever treatment, getting sick. They would show us that what they experienced. So if we're used to seeing so much from a person and all of a sudden we're not seeing the important stuff, it's obviously BS, you know? Um, yeah. So social media has created a space where people self-diagnose and sometimes self-advertise. Platforms don't always flag medical exaggerations, but should they? I definitely think that they should. Especially, it's not facts. It's a way to manipulate the public, manipulate their followers. So yeah, it definitely should get flagged. It's dangerous when misinformation spreads faster than actual medical facts. You know, where are the facts? Where's the videos or the lives, to let everybody know exactly what the disease entails, exactly what the treatment entails, what you should do to prevent it, what can you do, if anything, to prevent it. How did it change your family dynamics? How did it change you? Like, this is the things that people would want to know, and then they would be empathetic towards you, you know? It's okay. It's okay. I'm just, talking because soon I have to go get Jackson. So I won't be here too long. But this just really annoyed me when people, keep lying about what they've been through. And then for the people that really been through things, you see their stories about their treatments, how they felt sick, you know, how they had to cut their hair because they were losing hair, you know, how they had to even cut different, body parts because of the disease they went through to prevent it from occurring again or spreading, you know? So, yeah, it's not just wrong. It takes away resources and attention from people who are genuinely or have genuinely fought for their lives. You know, when someone plays sick, real patients lose their credibility. You know, sorry, paused it because of those darn sirens. But yeah, I think that social media should definitely take down posts that exaggerate medical stories, medical history, you know, skits that are BS, What you guys think? Do you think that people should not be able to post things like that, like exaggerate medical stories that they really didn't go through? Do you think people should have, or maybe you feel like people should have the freedom to share whatever they want, even if it's misleading? I mean, it's social media, right? Everything is for engagement. Do you think these people have the right to exaggerate? Or do you think that they should have better self awareness and just be better about themselves and not have to exaggerate and especially share the exaggeration with the public? No, it's those darn sirens. But yeah. How would you feel if you donated to someone who wasn't being honest about their illness? Would you just continue supporting them when you start noticing that they're lying, that they're exaggerating what they went through or what they're going through? Would you continue to support them, or would you hit that, unsubscribe or unfollow? You think people that want to share what they are going through to get sympathy should at least provide proof? Yep. And those who do not provide proof should not get any funds or sympathy. Yeah, because, having the illness is definitely different than preventing an illness, and also just continue to spread a false narrative of what you've been through. And I honestly don't know how people even could live like that or think that it's okay that they continue to do it. I don't know how they are okay with that and not feel guilty that they are lying, basically. Especially with these people that do it and they actually lost family members, close family members to said disease. You know? How why would you want to do that? Knowing how serious it could have been, knowing that you lost family members, why? Why would you want to do that? And then also not only spreading the fake fake stuff and stories, but also adding it to things like GoFundMe's or reasons why they're collecting donations, you know? It's real sad when people are making GoFundMe's, adding to the GoFundMe description about said disease that they went through, you know, instead of just being real about it. And that definitely impacts the people that follow them, because then when they are saying that, and being honest and saying, oh, because of low engagement, I need some donations, people are like, I ain't donating to you. I remember the time where you lied about your disease, or you lied about your illness, or you exaggerated about your illness and not keeping it real, you know? And that's why they start spiraling out of control. And we see them, you know, doing anything, just about anything, to gain that audience and gain that following and engagement that they're missing. Yeah, oh, God punishes them with the ones they love for lying about their health. Yeah. Some people some people do it for so long they start to believe it. Wow. Yeah. It's sad, and that's just another story that tells you that they really need to get some help. They need to do something, obviously, to make themselves happy, that they don't have to spread lies, false information, just to gain, sympathy, just to gain supporters, just to gain those likes. Please. But, let's be real. We care about creators we follow. We check on them. We root for them. We do. We cry when they're sick. Especially in illnesses like that. Those tragic illnesses. Those ones that sometimes you can't prevent what happens. Or those that no matter how much treatment they get, unfortunately, when it overcomes them. But some creators use that emotional bond to get that money, to get that sympathy. They're just totally wrong. Those, I don't know if you guys know the parasocial relationship, when viewers feel like they personally know a creator. It gets, people get attached to the people they follow. And they feel like they have to, what is it? They have to defend that content creator because they feel they know them so well, you know? But a parasocial relationship is a one-sided bond, a one-sided emotional bond that a person forms with a public figure, celebrity, or even a online creator, even though the other person doesn't know them personally. You know, the term parasocial obviously means, literally means one-sided social. It happens when viewers start to feel like they personally know a creator because they see their posts, hear their stories, and follow their life regularly. So these creators that are, exaggerating their stories, they're trying to hook their viewers that do feel this way, because they know that they love them, that they feel like they know them and love them. So they do get hooked. So, but parasocial relationship can be, scary because then you feel that way and you want to donate to that person, and a lot of the times you're donating money that you don't even really have. But because you feel like you are connected to that person, you end up, giving, giving, giving. And what are they giving you in return? Nothing but lies, you know? I know we all have had people that we followed that we have felt like emotionally drained just watching them because we feel like, we're connected. But yeah, that's not the way to go. And we do have to, you know, set our boundaries and not let us feel a certain way for people we don't even know in real life, especially those that don't even know you're there. It is because some people get toxic when they donate and then end up finding out it was all a lie. Yep. And you definitely, no matter how much money you send, you're not getting that money back, you know? And they probably didn't even thank you for the money that you sent. It's like, why do we get so attached to people we don't even know? It's because, it's not because we're bad people, it's because we're good people, because we want to feel like they're telling us the truth, and a lot of us are empathetic to seeing people go through certain things. Maybe we've gone through it ourselves. Maybe we've had family that've been through it. So we want to believe their stories. And that's what people like this feed off of. That's why I follow um, a lot of people that I follow. It's because I genuinely trust them, and that they keep it real. You know, I rather support people like that whether it's saying, I need this money for food, I ain't gonna lie, or I didn't pay this Con Ed bill last month, so honestly that's why I need these donations. Or I need to feed the family, or things like that. Like, be real. you know I rather follow and be able to trust people that are genuine, that are real, regardless of the situation. Hey, Tommy. Hey, sis. Welcome in. Welcome in. But what's the right balance, between transparency and oversharing? The right balance. You definitely don't overshare no lies. Overshare the truth. Overshare the preventive measures that people can take, you know? Be transparent about the things you go through. Don't lie and manipulate people saying that you struggle through a illness and you don't even know what it feels like to struggle through an illness because you did take the preventive measure to not have to deal with it, you know? If you have a platform, your job is to prevent, these lies. And you have that platform to actually make a difference. Your your followers, your supporters, they want to know the real. They want to know the what you really went through, not the lies that you made up in your mind to manipulate them. I bet you the platforms that exaggerate what they went through can go way further if they actually tell the truth and their real story instead of manipulating people, you know? You never overshare on platforms. Hell, I barely share. I share my opinions in the chats. That's it. Okay? Shoo. But yeah, people like that are sick that try to use certain illnesses to reel their people in for sympathy. Hey, Miss Dee Dee. Welcome in, welcome in. Please, everybody, double tap that screen. If you're on a computer, hit that thumbs up for me. And of course, if you would like to donate to my channel, my Cash App is pinned. I also have it in my bio, so you can just hit that link. If hitting links is easier for you, I also have a buy me a coffee link. Any donations are appreciated. I hope you guys are having a great Tuesday. I'm going to be wrapping up soon because I do have to get our little boy, your internet nephew. Yeah, I have to start getting ready to get him. But yeah, it's really sad. And I just had to talk about this because certain people just get on my damn nerves when, they're all of a sudden they have hair because they're wearing a wig or or they're gaining weight. So they, talk about, oh, I'm so happy that I'm gaining weight after what I've been through, because I've had, said disease, oh, look, after I went through this disease, look, my hair grew back. It's just fucking not, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that word, but it just gets me pissed off. It really does. And to see that people actually support this behavior is even more crazy to me. Instead of being real with him and telling him like, no, dude, I support you because who you are, but stop doing this stupid crap. Your people do not want to see this. Your people want to hear the real you, everything that you really went through, what we can do to prevent what you lost your family members to. Not the weak ass, clown ass stories. You know what I'm saying? But, there's nothing wrong with making money online, but there's a big difference between raising awareness and raising funds through sympathy. If you're using an illness as a brand, that's definitely a problem. That's definitely a problem. If you went through something and you brought it to, to your supporters during that time, fine. And of course, afterwards, if you went through something, of course it's okay to talk about it, to spread awareness and stuff, but it's definitely not okay to make it like the theme of your of your channel, especially when most know that you are exaggerating, when most know you don't really know what it feels like to have went through anything. You know, creators selling merchandise to rinse treatment. That's okay. But those who ask for donations dishonestly, that's not okay. You know, would you feel okay if someone profited from your pain? Would you would you feel okay if someone profited through something that you actually went through and that you know how it feels, that you know how it made you sick, how it made you lose weight, lose hair, you know, how you had to take time out of your day to go, you know, into the hospital for hours for treatment when you know how your family members had to help you and how even they felt seeing you going through that. But you know, like Lily said earlier, if you're raising money, show receipts, show where it goes, show us the show us you know videos, because especially if you're a content creator, we already know you video every second of your life. Show us those videos that you know when you was in the hospital getting those treatments. Show us. You know, it's never okay to get donations by spreading lies for sympathy. You know, if you actually went through something and you're making t-shirts or you know candles or whatever to help you, maybe that's to ease your mind, maybe that's your kind of therapy, and maybe you do need help for your treatments from monetarily, you know, maybe you need that. Maybe that's why you started doing things to gain money, because you have to pay doctors bills, you know, hospital bills, treatment bills, you know. Yes, of course that's okay. But if you're asking for donation in a dishonest way, you better watch out. You know, what goes around comes around. And just because you didn't have or didn't go through what you said you went through is not, who's to say that you don't get something else, and who's to say you're going to be able to prevent it. So if you or anyone you know lie about having illnesses, I hope you guys, you know, change and realize that manipulating your supporters is not the way to go, you know. Ethical versus exploitative. You know, being ethical is the way to go. You know, like I said, you went through something, fine, but be honest about what you went through. Be honest if it was preventative and you didn't really have the full blown illness. And, you know, you should be grateful and thankful that you didn't. You know, so let's raise awareness, you know, raise awareness about people like this. So share this live. People have to know and open your eyes. If you support somebody that does that, don't, you know, keep on feeding into their nonsense. Keep it real with them. You know, keep it real with them. Tell them how you feel. You know, if you're the one that follows them and you know you feel a certain way deep down, but you never actually let them know how you feel, yeah, like I said, this isn't, you know, they don't really know you, but so what? Let them know how you feel in their comments as a follower, as a supporter. You know, leave that comment and let them know how you feel, because there's gonna be many people behind you that are gonna follow suit, and they're gonna let those people know that it is not okay. Let them know the stories about your family members, about yourself, what you went through, during whatever illness you went through. Maybe they'll read all these things and actually feel a way that'll make them change. Like I said, the point of today's talk wasn't to bash anyone, whatever. It's really to wake them up, to wake us up as supporters. We shouldn't be supporting anybody that we know is lying, that is making up stories, especially about something like this that people actually go through daily, that people lose their lives to daily, that we might have family members that we see going through this, or we have family members and friends that actually, thank goodness, are survivors. When you play with illness for engagement, you hurt real patients. You hurt real people. You hurt real supporters. You hurt real family members. And you break that trust. We can still have compassion just with discernment. You know, to be spreading false narratives and, false things years later, you know, you need to find a different story to tell. You need to find different content, because lying about what you've been through, isn't it? You know, is not it. But, I'm not gonna talk so much more. I hope people, get their life together, and, if they're doing this as a content creator, I hope that they get better content, because this sympathy baiting isn't it, you know? Cancer for clout isn't it. Online manipulation isn't it. And I know they're seeing the effects of what the real cost of sympathy baiting is doing to their channels. It's not making it better, it's making people hit that unfollow, and then going to the people that, the people that they might not like, So let's spread this awareness, stop doing crap to manipulate people to follow you. Be yourself. Tell the real story. You know, let people gain. Let people be empathetic towards you, your real story, even what you're really going through now, because of what you've been going through. Maybe people see you in a different way and actually start liking you again. you know. But thank you guys for being here. I just had to say that because people are, I don't know why people do that. And it gets tiring of seeing. And sometimes, most of the time, I don't even like go seek it out to see it. I see other people posting what they post. So, you know, it's so annoying. And at a certain point, it's like, what the hell, dude? You're a clown. And that's why you're known as a clown. And that's why you're not getting anywhere. But anyway, thank you, thank you, thank you. Please double tap that screen, hit that like button if you're watching this on a replay. Thank you so much to my replay gang. Hit that thumbs up for me. Leave a comment. Let me know you were here, what you think about this topic. It's okay. It's okay. I was just, spreading awareness and talking about the nonsense, of people that lie about illnesses that they go through and exaggerating. Please watch the replay, because I don't think that's okay. And it really annoys me when people do this, especially, no, we know people that really have been through the, you know, illness, people that have struggled, people that have had treatments, that they know what it really is. So it really does annoy me when we see people that do this just for clout, just for engagement, just for that, you know, just for those stars, just for those, for the bag in general. But yeah, please share the live, like, comment, subscribe. I'm on the road to 500. I think I need like 20 more supporters. So yes, let's share. Like. If you would like to donate to my channel, of course, most of you know. My Cash App is pinned. It's BXQUEENC, Queen, the letter C. The links are also in my bio. But, you know, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Let me know what you think about this subject. Do you know people in your life that have exaggerated? You know content creators that have exaggerated? Let's talk about it in the comments after I end this live. All right? And shout out to all the supporters. Shout out to all the family members that were by somebody's side that may not have made it. And rest in peace to those that didn't make it. But shout out to the survivors. Shout out, shout out, shout out. I love you guys. Thanks for the support. Thank you for being here. And I will catch you later.